Hello again, guys. This is multiplying and dividing decimals. Now, multiplying and dividing decimal is very different than adding and subtracting decimals. First off, when you add and subtract decimals, you have to line up the decimals. When you multiply and divide, you do not line up the decimals. It serves you no purpose. So, let's start with multiplying decimals. Okay, step one, you want to ignore the decimals. Okay, so we have 3.1 and 0.02. Well, we want to ignore the decimals, right? So, this number really is 3.1 times 2. We just ignore the decimal. Oh, sorry. 31 times 2. Okay, that's step one. Ignore the decimal. Step two, we multiply regularly. 31 times 2 is 62. Fantastic, 62. Step three, you want to count the number of numbers to the right of the decimal. So, this one gets a little tricky because you do have to count both numbers. For example, to the right of this decimal is one number. To the right of this decimal is two numbers. So 1 plus 2, we have a total of 3 times. Right? 3 times. Now the last step, whatever number of times are to the right of the decimal, that's how much you're going to jump back. Right? Jump back. So on the number 62, there's an imaginary decimal at the end. Now we're going to jump back 3 times. Jump once, twice, and 3 times. You notice there's an empty space here. We cannot have an empty space, so we have to put the placeholder of 0. So your final answer is 0.062. That's how you multiply decimals. Now, dividing it, I personally feel, is less complicated, except the fact that you're actually dividing. Students don't like to divide, but this is a division problem, right? Now, you're going to take this and rewrite it. 2 on the outside, 9.37 on the inside. Okay, so we just rewrote it. Your first step is to bring the decimal up. All we do is bring the decimal up. So, if it helps you, draw dot, 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 and put the decimal there. So that's the first step. Second step is you want to divide. 2 goes into 9 how many times? 4. 8 minus 1, bring down to 3. 2 goes to 13, 6 times. Notice that I'm writing it still above the number, right? The decimal doesn't affect anything, it just goes straight up. I'm still writing above the number. That's a 12, 1, that's a 7, 2 goes to 17, 8 times, 16, and there's a 1. Now, because of the decimal, we don't have a remainder. What you do is, if you still have numbers to go, you have to add zeros, right? Adding a 0 at the end of a decimal does not change its value. That's why we can add a 0. In this case, we're going to add 1 0 and then bring it down. 2 goes into 10, how many times? 5. It goes into it exactly 5. We subtract that and we have no more left. So this is your final result. 4.685. If you don't understand these two concepts, they are a little more complicated than adding and subtracting. Please watch this video over and over again and make up some numbers to practice or use the practice test I gave you. Thank you.